All right, guys, we're back again with another great episode of PFREI. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal, passion for real estate investments. We got a great show today. This is actually the opportunity to bring to my group that's following me on social media or following the podcast to really find out where you can find coaches, where you can deal with people who are actively in the business. So I wanted to bring my guest today, Glenn and Amber Schworm. Said that right? Schworm?
You did.
All
Yeah.
right, great. Wanted to make sure I get it right. We're part of a mastermind together. And, I know these guys are active. And he was just telling me before I press record that they figured out a way of how to do flips without doing flips. And that was like a gut punch to me because I'm still doing flips. So I'm all ears for this one because I want to know how you do it from Florida and the businesses in New York. So, just, give background about yourself. Let our listeners know a little bit about you, and then we'll kind of jump right into it.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us on first, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, how far back do you want to start? So we have been, we started actively flipping in 2007, but we actually bought our first rental in 2003. Worst rental you could possibly buy. Made every mistake in the book. And then we actually decided we're both going through divorce from our spouses, and we end up, she lived in Dallas, Texas, and I was in upstate New York, and we end up the friendship kind of turned into more, and we wound up being together. And after the divorces, and we started flipping houses in 2007. So people have looked back now and they're like, "Oh, you guys are brilliant! You got it at the right time. You knew right when to time the market." And we're like, "Nah, we were
just desperate.
We're desperate. Yeah, we needed to make large chunks of cash legally, and I couldn't get Amber to hook on the street. I tried. I couldn't get it. You know what I mean? So I was trying. I knew I couldn't make any money, so I had to figure it out. And we said, how do you do this, right? How do you do it legally? And it was like, well, at the time in 2007, there were some people flipping. It wasn't, that time of the market in 2008 when the market crashed. It was just not a lot of people doing it. And you saw it on TV, but we're like, yeah, we got to figure it out. So we muscled our way through our first flip.
Yeah.
We went to a little local seminar where there was 8 people in the room and we were 2 of the 8. And he was a flipping seminar. We paid $35 to go to or something, right? We sat in this room and this guy goes, to be successful as real estate investors, you'll have to go in houses that she'll never go in. He points at Amber. And I'm thinking, bro, you got no idea who you're pointing at, but whatever. If you feel big about yourself saying that, go ahead. And he was a realtor in our area in upstate New York. And we ended up dwarfing him because he claimed he had done, 30 flips. We've done 1,000 in that area, literally over the past 15 years. So we've done 1,000 flips in that area. And so, for us though, Fuquan, I think what we've really realized, even in recent months, we were able to systemize our business so we could move to Florida, almost 2 years ago now, 1.5 years ago. And we live on the beach in Florida. We literally, not being braggy here, but literally today, Amber was like, "Hey, we have dolphins." We all ran to the backyard and we watched a family of dolphins playing by our dock.
I love it.
It was a moment where I'm in the middle of, I did have some meetings with my leadership team today. And I said to Amber, what a great life. Like we started flipping houses, then we started building a rental portfolio. And it was that rental portfolio coupled with the short-term rental portion of that, about a dozen of those or so, 13 of them, that totally changed our perspective on what living a life was all about. It ain't about money. I'm not going to show you Ferraris. I'm not going to show you, we do have a beach house, but I'm not going to brag about that. But we have I'm not going to show you Ferraris. I'm not going to show you, $300,000 watches. It's just not how I roll. But I can show you how to live a great life and have income that comes in from multiple sources. Because I'm a firm believer that money won't make you happy, but the lack of money can bring tremendous stress. And when you have that stress, it's so hard to see the pathway to be happy. And so I'm a firm believer that if you can take care of the financial component in your life, I think your relationships are better. I think your life is better. I think you can get your health better because you can focus on things you want to focus on without thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to make money. And I'm not just talking to broke people. I'm talking to people that have 300 grand sitting in the bank and they realize they wake up one day and go, that's not going to be enough. Like, that's not going to be enough. We're watching inflation 20 years from now. That won't even cut it in retirement. So you've got to have an extra vehicle. So I think that's what we're so passionate. That's what we help people now, is to kind of create a lifestyle, use real estate, even just temporarily, to get going, to get a lifestyle built. Because if you can build a lifestyle, man, that's really what it's all about. I think that's what we've been really blessed to be able to do. And I don't think we were planning that initially. We're just like grinding. And we woke up one day and went, we're living on the ocean. Like, this is crazy.
But it started with one house, and it started with the 2 of us. Like nobody else was helping us at the time. Like the first 3 houses, we actually did all the work on ourselves, which we don't recommend now because you make more money when you hire it all out. But
Fuquan, how we didn't kill each other is beyond me. I'm not quite sure of that.
Well, that was 4 years of therapy.
Yeah.
So, but I think what really allowed us to make the choices that we have, definitely, your drive and ambition and work ethic and all of that plays a part. But we had to find the right people. We had to build the right
100%.
team. And that took a while. It took us a minute to figure out how to hire those people. And, we call it the right butt for the right seat. If you're familiar with
yes, EOS.
EOS. Yeah, that's how we, analyze people based on their personality and whether they have the capacity for it and also whether they enjoy it. And so that has been a game changer, just allowing us to hire the right people that's been able to allow us to live our life the way that we are now, not quite so hands-on with everything.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys creating some type of partnerships with your team to keep them motivated? Because I mean, I hear it systemizing a business, running an EOS model, doing the people analyzes against your core values to make sure you got the right butts in the right seat. Probably a monthly people analyzer to make sure you can course correct as you go along if they're off track. But how do you see, you build this great business, you're out of town, you have a COO, whoever's running operations integrator, and, how do you incentivize those people to stay on if it's not a partnership? Is it a significant amount of bonuses that's giving to keep them incentivized? Like, how does that part work? Because you can build a great team and the people go off and do it on their own,
Right.
I have got one word for you that I've learned. I've been in business, by the way, for 35 years. So I started my first company at 19. I'm 54 now. So I've been working for myself for a long time. And I can tell you, in the past 2 years, this has come true so strong for me that I would tell all your listeners who are business owners or that want to be, I have one word for you: culture. It does not matter how much you pay them. Pay is certainly a part of it. I love it. But that is not how you do it. It's the culture you build in a business. If I can tell you, because my flipping business last year did not do well. It didn't do well last year because I had a COO that was in there running it, and the culture deteriorated faster than I could keep up with it.
I know what you mean. I had the same challenge, bro.
Yeah. So now, on the other hand, we have an education business called Vestor Pro. We put on what's called the Home Flipping Workshop. We do workshops about 9-10 times a year, and we help a lot of people get started in real estate, and we love what we do there. That business, at the same time, about 42 team members in that company. Culture, unbelievably great. Like I leave meetings and I'm jacked and I own the sucker. We own the sucker. Sorry. So, we started from scratch.
Get it right.
I almost got in trouble there, Fuquan. I almost went down a dangerous slope. Yeah. By I mean we. That's what I meant. Whenever I say I meant we.
Yeah, French. Go ahead.
And
I got you.
We're a unit.
We are a unit, 100%. We started everything together and built it all together. And so I had the unique opportunity that I don't think a lot of people have, is that I had one business, they're both multi-million-dollar businesses, and one business was going downhill, and it had less people and whatnot, but it's going downhill because the culture was so bad. And while the market, the real estate market, was exploding, and all my friends were like, I'm crushing it. And I'm like, I'm actually not. And then I looked over here one day and said, but my education business is winning. And it wasn't because of what they were doing in business. It was because of the people that we had. And so I actually had a COO that came in to help run the education business, and I had to fire her because after 10 months, I saw the culture getting ripped apart. And let me tell you something, I've learned I will police that culture like nobody's business. If I think that you are a cancer, I'm cutting you out, baby. And so I've gotten vigilant at that. And so I did the same thing with my flipping company in November. I cut half the staff. I went back to a lean operation, and I found a handful of people that I can work with, that I love, that I trust, and that they love, and they have my back. I mean, they have my back. And so by my, I mean our. And so our back, they have our back. I'm in a bad way here tonight. So that for me was such an eye-opening experience, because now that company is starting to come out and do well. We've had 3 profitable months when everybody else is starting to struggle. And all of a sudden that company, the real estate business, is doing well when other real estate companies are not doing well. And I know what it is. It's culture. We love each other. We care for each other. We work together. We have our core values, and even the compensation. I said, guys, there's no raises this year. We can't do anything, but I was able to cut them in a little bit of the profit. You're asking that question. I said, listen, I'm going to give you guys some percentage of the profits, provided we hit these certain numbers. And they're like, wow, like in a time of the company going down, I gave them something to shoot for. And that I don't think I needed to, but it helped, right? It helped. And when your team comes to you privately, and this is what happened, they came and said, no matter what happens, I got your back, you know that? And I'm like, okay. And when it came time with my CFO to say, so it's time to make some cuts, who gets on the lifeboat? I knew who was in the lifeboat with me. You know what I mean? I knew. And then once we did it, it took about 2 months. It was like, even today we're having meetings. It's like, wow, this is fun again. God, I wanted to have fun. So now when you have fun with your culture, that's been the absolute game changer for me. So if you don't have your culture right, comp plan doesn't matter, product doesn't matter, your building doesn't matter. None of that means anything if you don't have culture. I've lived it, so I know.
And I think we gave them room to grow in their positions too,
Yes.
which made a big difference. And, we've never really been micromanaging like that. That just doesn't fit our personality.
It's too much work.
But like the two that I'm thinking of in particular weren't in the roles that they are now, but they grew into those roles. And when you give people freedom to do well, many times they'll rise to the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that was also a really big.
Yeah, those are all good points. I mean, it's really, a lot of people don't see how tough it is to operate a business. So when you find that integrated SEO, that head person who can, run operations, and you can be the visionary and bring all of the fresh ideas and they implement them, it's a win-win situation. And what you said about culture is absolutely true. I was actually disconnected from the culture of my business, and my COO kind of built the culture, the former COO, that really wasn't in tune with what I was trying to do. So when I made the move to remove that person from the organization, and I stepped in myself, back boots on the ground, and I'm still boots on the ground now, especially in this marketplace. I think most owners are boots in the ground in R&D mode. But, when I stepped in and took on the interviews and weeded the people out and did the people analyzer and went through that whole process, I was able to rebuild the culture of the business. And it's so rewarding. It feels so good. So I get what you mean. Let's talk a little bit about the educational component, because I heard you mentioning that. I know that you have that going. I want the listeners to kind of find out how they could be on Florida and do business from the beach also.
Well, doesn't happen overnight, not get rich quick. You know what I mean? We're big believers in that. But, what we do, kind of our introductory that we do, is we put on a home flipping workshop, and that's the name that we've created many years ago because that was the attractive name. But again, it's really about building a lifestyle and, starting with flipping and moving into rentals and all that. So we spend 3 days, we dive in. It's all Zoom, because during the pandemic, we went from hotel ballrooms to Zoom, and by God, it worked. Like I was shocked that
we got a bigger audience.
It is, and I don't have to leave my home.
Mm-hmm. No travel expense for people,
No, for them or for my team. We have a whole team of people that show up there. It's not just us talking. We usually have 150 to 200 people in our home flipping workshops, and they're all over the country. And then what we do is we spend 3 days. If anybody was interested and they wanted to look it up online, we've got, I think now, probably pushing 12 or 1,300 5-star reviews between Google and Facebook.
Wow, amazing.
That's over 6 years. We've been doing it a long time. And for us, reading those, they're long. A lot of them are long and really like people. It's kind of amazing.
And it's because of how much value is at the workshop. Like people come in thinking, oh, I'm going to learn a couple little nuggets, and they leave, and it's like they can't go to sleep at night because they're like, oh my goodness, this was so much more information than I've ever gotten before at any sort of workshop, and way more than I ever thought I'd get for.
If you're coming there thinking you're going to learn how to cut kitchen cabinets, I remember one person many years ago said, "I'm leaving because I thought I was going to learn how to hang cabinets today." I'm like, go to Home Depot for that. That's not what we're talking about. So we're talking about how to create a lifestyle and really do it alongside what you're currently doing. But people usually show up to the workshop because they're missing something in their life, and almost always there's a financial component to that. And the financial component is, how do I make that kind of money, or how do I build up an income? And honestly, we take it for granted, I think, because when Fuquan, it was during 2021, so it was mid-COVID. We came down to Florida for a workshop, leadership workshop. We're always investing in ourselves, so we came down for a leadership workshop, and we had been looking at houses in Florida for about 2 or 3 years. I'm like, I don't know, it's a lot of money, and we get, I'm like, what's a big move? I have 4 kids. We have an ex-wife. My mom lives in New York. I grew up in New York.
You could have said I, not we.
You see, no matter what I do, I'm in trouble. You see how that goes? No matter what I do, I'm in trouble during these meetings. So we decided to come look at a house here in Florida, and we go to look at a house we thought for sure was gonna be one we're gonna fall in love with, and we didn't. We walked in, we're like, huh. And then we stumbled at the house that I'm talking to you from now, and it's on the water. It's we have our own dock going on. It's a 4-minute walk to the beach on the Gulf of Mexico, and it has everything we would ever want, except it was.
Are you in Tampa? You on the west side?
We're the west side. Yeah, we're in St. Pete area. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. St. Pete. Yeah. Buddy of mine live in Siesta Key.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. A little south of us, about an hour, but great area. So my point to that was all of a sudden we're looking at the house, and these houses, it's in the multi-millions of dollars. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that. I grew up poor. I'm like, I come on, I can't afford that. That's not. And Amber's like, I love this house. I see you get the tape measure out, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in trouble. So I called my mortgage broker, and I said, hey, so same guy that helps all of our students. I said, hey, not for nothing, if I put this much down, how much would the payment be on this house? He's like, he tells me the number, and I looked at Amber. I went, are you sure? He's like, yeah, because remember the money was 2.85% back then.
Yeah.
And he told me the number, and I looked at it, and I looked at Amber. I'm like, our passive income more than covers this. And that was the eye-opening moment. Like, our passive income more than covers this. And then when we did move, the house in New York, which was a beautiful home, pool, hot tub, beach, the whole works we had up there. People are like, oh, you have to sell the house. I go, no. Like, you have to sell the house? No. We turned that into a short-term rental that probably pays 20% of the payment here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy when you're in real estate what you can do. But the passive income part was the eye-opening moment to me. It's like I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was letting all my rentals just accumulate, and I wasn't thinking really about how much they were earning every month. I just kind of kept them going as a retirement plan. And then when I saw there was income there that I could actually buy a piece of real estate, and then we bought the real estate, and for the next 2 years did nothing but skyrocket here. Like, we picked up probably $1 million in equity just equity.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy. Now it'll probably come down a little bit, but it's crazy. But my point to all that was residual income allows you a life. It lets you have options and freedom and things that people take for granted or think they can't get it themselves, but they can.
And like, to go along that line of, things that we take for granted, a lot of that is knowledge. Like, we've forgotten more than we know. So people come to the workshop, and there's so many misconceptions about real estate. Oh, if I flip a house, I'm going to get nailed in taxes. Oh, if I'm a landlord, or if I have a rental portfolio, I'm going to have to be a landlord and get the 3 o'clock in the morning, my toilet's clogged phone calls. Like, there's so many, and those are like just 2 random ones. There's so many other misconceptions that go along with real estate investing, that when people's eyes are open to the simplicity of it, yes, it's hard work, but it's worth it. But really the simplicity of it, and that they can do it on the side. And then when they start to make enough money, they're replacing their income, then they start to have other life choices, which gets really exciting too. And like, for us, it's also exciting because we've been doing it for 15 years. So it's, we make a $70,000 profit on a house, and it's just kind of like, oh, okay, that's great.
It goes into account for a business, right? It goes to business. I got payroll, I got all that stuff. So it's not as exciting as going, this is all mine. It's not quite as exciting.
Does it when one of our students does it? It's like, oh my gosh, we just want to like celebrate with them. It's really exciting.
We just got through.
It's crazy, right? As you've been in the business for so long, you do a closing, and you make 150,000, 100,000, 70,000. He's like, oh, when's the next one? Right, when most people,
and the first time you have that check, right? And so
I think it's a different reaction. It was like, I love this business. Do this for the rest of my life.
I think it's challenges. It's almost too bad, right, that we don't go back to that childlike excitement sometimes, right? We have to make sure, I think, that we call on that child in us and say, this is some good shit we got going on here. We should be excited about this. We should be good about this. So yeah.
Well, the top of the mountain is the bottom of the next one.
Right?
That's a great line. I like that.
But there's enough abundance out there for anybody that's interested in real estate investing to get involved in it. And if anything, the average people like us are the ones that need to get into it so that the big guys don't get all of it.
If any of your
the big hedge funds.
Yeah, right. If any of your listeners are interested in watching a real journey, not an HGTV made up journey, we have a professional show it's being sought after for TV right now, but it's on YouTube. It's called The Big Flipping Break. And The Big Flipping Break is an 8-episode show where we took a young couple, a pastor and a stay-at-home mom, and we walked them. We gave them all the money for the whole deal, and they did all the work, and we coached them through the whole process, the entire thing, start to finish. And it's not staged like HGTV where it's always glamorous and all that kind of stuff. We didn't have to redo the challenging scenes that happened naturally. I mean, even David's sister passed away right in the middle of the job, and I mean, and he's young, and
Wow.
a lot of from cancer, a lot of stuff happened, and they had challenges thrown at them right and left. And this show it's really giving people an idea of what's it really like to be coached by someone through the process and have the money given to me. Because when you have all that taken care of, which we show people how to do, it's amazing. So it's a really cool show. It's called The Big Flipping Break, and it's on, you can Google that and find it on YouTube, but it's a really cool, real show. And we actually got to the end. We made a 40,000 profit and we split it with them.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Make sure you guys go check that out on YouTube and plug the site where they can go to find more information about the education that you guys provide.
Yeah, that's Home Flipping Workshop, but probably the best place to find us is glennandamber.com. That's got links to all of our social media and the workshop and our book and the show and all that good stuff.
All that stuff.
Excellent. Yeah. Glennandamber.com. Make sure you guys go check that out, man. It's really great speaking to you guys and showing the audience more about what you do and the value you add. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to come on the show today, man.
Thanks for having us, man. Great stuff.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's another great episode of PFREI, Passion for Real Estate Investments. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, like and share, and all the other podcast, social media platforms, and where you can find a podcast. We're there. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Have a good night.